Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Built for the Stage podcast. This is Joe Roscoe, founder and host of Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform. With clients in over 20 Broadway shows and other stages across the globe, we are your one-stop shop for marrying a pursuit in a career of theater to a pursuit of a journey in fitness. So if you need some help training like the athlete that you are, go to builtforthestage.com. I'd be happy to work with you one-on-one on an interactive fitness app. All right, let's get on to our special guest. I was just in London about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've been in the theater biz for longer than I'd like to admit, and I've yet to see Book of Mormon, and I know what it's about, vaguely. Heard some songs, but not all the songs. And then I show up and I'm like, oh, this is Book of Mormon. Oh my goodness. And then I'm sitting behind this husband and wife, I'm presuming, with their son next to them and then his girlfriend next to him. And just watching them squirm for like two hours or so was pretty hilarious. So I'm very excited to welcome our guest who's a part of the ensemble in Book of Mormon in the West End. They've also been in Kinky Boots. They have played Elder Grant before in the Book of Mormon at the Wales Theater. They've been in Saturday Night Fever. Just a whole list. The Late Show with James Corden, and we have to talk about that. I'm looking through the playbill or the program if you're listening. If you're watching on the tube, here it is. Book of Mormon. All right, please welcome to the podcast, Ross Carpenter.
Hello.
Hi, Ross.
How are you doing?
Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. The pleasure's all mine.
It's a pleasure. You're here backstage in the theater.
Yes, this is me.
Let's see. Is it 3:30? What time is it over there?
It is
3:49.
Yeah, 10.
And when's your show? Evening show only tonight?
Yeah, so we've got one show tonight, but we start warm up at 6 o'clock. So about 2 hours.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So do you like to show up to the theater early, or are you doing this extra special just for us today?
Well, it depends. On average, I'll show up about half an hour before warm up because I like to shower and get my hair done before warm up, so it's done by the time warm up's over. But today I came in early to go to the gym, and it is Tom Zander who plays Elder Cunningham's birthday, and I was in charge of getting his birthday cake, so I had to go and get that, and now I'm here. So there we are.
Okay, let's talk about the workout and more importantly the cake. Let's start with the cake. Is the cake like vanilla, chocolate, marble? Is it a carrot cake?
Yeah.
What kind of cake is it?
Cake is vanilla, Victoria sponge, rainbow frosting kind of situation.
Okay. And the place you got it from, is this like a place that is world renowned? Everyone loves this place with the cakes, or what?
Actually, I got it from a place called Love Letter Cakes, and it's an ex-cast member of Mormon who now makes her own cakes. So I went to her, supporting a small business.
That's amazing. On like the similar parallel theme, Robbie Fairchild from the U.S. He came over to y'all and started Bouquet, his flower.
Yes, he's a florist now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're right by Note Coffee Shop. I think.
Sure.
By the Opera house.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, it's cool. So you're supporting a fellow performer who started a cake business, yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so the gym. What did you do at the gym today?
Today at the gym, we just swam because I'm trying to do a day on of swimming and then a day on of weights and cardio. So today was kind of cardio because I swam, but today was swim and steam, which was a bit more chill on a Monday, yeah.
Okay, nice. And how many you did, like laps, or what kind of swimming did you do today?
Yeah, I did lengths. So I reckon we did about 30 lengths today, which is about average for me.
Yeah.
And because the weather has depleted so badly here now, because it's now gone from lovely, gorgeous sunshine to absolute torrential rain, I tend to use the steam room a bit longer than I normally would as well because my voice isn't loving the weather.
So did you recently, like, it's the weather? I was just there. It's similar to us, I feel like. So you're just getting into like a colder season, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like it's been a lot more drastic this year. We had a really warm October, and then it's like November hit, and it's like now full winter. Like we've had rain for about 7 days. So yeah, it's pretty cold.
Got it. I'm getting a little bit of the choppiness again. Could you exit and come back in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll do that for you now.
Okay. So while Ross does that, everyone, I love the swimming because there's a difference in our training. Training doesn't always have to be a high intensity, doesn't always have to leave you on the floor feeling as though, you're going to need days to recover. Training a lot of the time is just about maintenance to the body. It's about maintaining our ability to perform our show day in and day out. And the way we do that is by not doing nothing. It's not by saying, oh, I need to preserve my energy, or I need to make sure that my body is remaining as still as possible. You need to train above your show. You need to train, again, for the ability to endure and to have durability while in a run of a show. And the way you do that, aside from training, is proper nutrition and sleep. So I love that Ross showed up to swim because, again, he's moving the body and challenging it in a different way than his show requires. And that in the long run is going to help him with his overall functionality of his physical nature on the stage. So let's bring Ross back on here.
Hey.
Hopefully our mic he sounds good.
Is that better?
It's great. I don't know I hope it's on your end and not mine, because then I have to apologize to you again. So, all right. So we're I used that time to talk about your swim training, which was perfect. So you did some laps, you said. Yeah. Was that around 30 minutes, or how long did it take you?
Yeah, 30 laps on average takes me between 25 and 30 minutes, roughly.
Yeah.
Depending on how tired I am.
Yeah, and your intensity, would you say like a 60, 70%?
Yeah, I mean, today I was chill, so I was breaststroke today, so that was
right.
Chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of depends. Like, if I've got a show in the evening, well, which I always do, but if it's a one show day, then I won't go too intense on the swimming. If I've got a Sunday where I've not got a show in the evening, then I'll be a bit more intense with it.
Correct. Awesome. That's exactly what I was saying when you were away. So, yeah. All right, you got the gym out of the way. You got the cake out of the way. Your warm-up is with everyone else. Us Americans over here have come to learn that you have these mandatory group warm-ups. How are your warm-ups run over there at the Book of Mormon?
So we head down to the stage at 6 o'clock, and we have about 15 to 20 minutes of physical warm-up, and then about 10 minutes of vocal warm-up. And then obviously if there's some things that you need to do personally, you can do that after, because you still have about a good hour until the show when warm-up's over. It's really funny actually, because whenever I've worked with American people, like especially in Book of Mormon, they're always so shocked about the warm-up situation here, because they're like, we never do that. And I'm like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think maybe the Broadway performers would go on strike if they tried to implement that.
Yeah, for sure.
You recently were in New York, in October?
Yeah, so I turned 30 in October, and my sister planned a surprise trip to New York for my birthday, which was really nice.
Wow, all-star sister. Look at her.
I was very lucky. And we went to see Into the Woods, which was fantastic.
How good was that? I mean, come on.
Yeah, wild. So good. And, we paid $60 and we got front row of the stalls. And, so, to have Stephanie J. Block's feet there was quite something. And it was amazing. And then we were really lucky to get tickets for Beetlejuice, because my friend Will was on for Beetlejuice, so I got to see him do that. So that was great.
Very cool. Yeah. I enjoyed both the shows. two very different shows, obviously. Everyone that's listening from the States, the stalls is what they call the orchestra. So the orchestra seating was I remember from like theater history as to why y'all call them what you do, like the Royal Circle or whatever else is makes sense because the orchestra seats used to not be the sought after seats. No, that was like you were standing, right? There was no seats, and the rich snobby people above you would throw stuff on you maybe and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the premise. Yeah.
But now that's where you want to be. So
that's where you want to be. Yeah.
See how that turns out. How about the cow in Into the Woods, Milky White? Didn't Milky White just steal the show?
Yeah, it was so clever. Like the puppetry was amazing. And I forget the guy's name now, but the guy's facial expressions and everything was just like, mwah, so good.
Yeah, for sure. New York compared to London. Tell me, who's winning, London or New York? You can honestly say it because
I think there's so many similarities, but they're so different. I feel like when I've been to New York, I feel like New York takes a lot more risks with newer things on larger scales. I think we have a lot more of our new musical theatre is on a lot more of a smaller scale, I think. But I mean, in terms of like commercial theatre and everything, I think it's very similar.
Yeah.
Like we have things like the Park and we have things like Regent's Park. They're not too dissimilar. I mean, I guess the audiences are a bit different. I think.
How about the cities themselves, though? Just like the city of London and the city of.
I tell you what, the subway is confusing. The subway makes no sense. Like, I can understand that the London Underground at first is confusing, but I think once you've looked at it for like more than 15 minutes, you're like, I get this. Every time I've been in New York, no matter how long I look at the subway map, it doesn't get any clearer to me.
It's so true, and it doesn't function nearly as well as your tube in London. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they're all just different letters, and like, just confuses me. But that's one thing I noticed. And obviously, like you guys have like in New York, you guys have everything more in like of a block situation rather than we do.
Right. Everything's
similarly to you. Actually, we went to Ellen's Stardust Diner, which is like obviously the big theatre cafe thing, and we've just got the theatre cafe diner open here, which is kind of like the new British kind of version.
Yeah.
So we went as a group of Mormons. We went for dinner there the other day, and that was fun because it's kind of like the same thing now.
Yeah, that also is where I was just talking about too, right? The theater cafe is near Notes Coffee and
Shop
and all that.
Yeah.
I popped in. I was actually chatting with them about apparel stuff because we're looking to distribute out of London. So that's in the works. It's in the works.
Yeah.
All right, let's do something fun before we rewind and talk about this. Whole thing's fun, but let's put you on the hot seat.
Okay,
it's like a little getting to know you session. Let's put some music on too. Let's put some music on. Let's get some hot seat music on. All right, so you walk into a room and the TV's on and a movie's playing. And you've seen this movie 100 times, but no matter how many times you see the movie, you have to stop and watch it. What's that movie?
Bridesmaids, always. The best film. The best film ever made.
Hands down, Bridesmaids. All right.
Yeah.
We get to look into your music playlist. Let's go with 3 different locations. If you're at the gym, what's your go-to song?
Whipped into Shape, Legally Blonde.
Okay, there we go. You're at home and you're like maybe being lazy in the morning or you're cooking a dinner, like just chilling. What's the song?
Troye Sivan, Take Yourself Home.
Okay, you're really good at this hot seat. Third one, you're commuting. So you're listening, you're either strutting down the street or you're in the tube. What are you listening to?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I'm going to go with Sister Act, Take Me to Heaven.
Okay, there we go. You are reincarnated, coming back to life as an animal. What animal are you going to be?
A dog.
Yeah, amazing. Any reason?
Yeah, just because they're the best.
100% true. Okay. You are not an actor. You're not on stage. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?
I think maybe like a writer.
A writer. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a journalist, a genre, a novelist. What kind of writer?
I think maybe like a novelist. I think that would be me.
Okay. What would your first hit be? Like, is it going to be like a murder mystery? What's it going to be?
I think it would be something comedy based, probably. Maybe like along the Bridget Jones' Diary kind of vibes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're walking down the street with me in London, and you want to take me to a place to eat that's not like cliche, touristy, but something that's more a hidden gem. Where are you gonna take me?
Probably home sliced pizza in Neal's Yard. That's my favorite.
Okay, there we go. Last one. Let's say favorite day off activity when you don't have a show.
So on a Sunday, typically roast dinner, cinema. Or the movies. Or,
Yeah, the movies. Okay, what did you recently see that you liked or didn't like?
We went to see. What's the last thing I saw? It was the week before last. Is it a Disney film? That's scary. Oh no! Don't Worry, Darling, the Harry Styles film.
And
good. I guess the twist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I liked it.
Don't let us know.
No.
All right, you are off the hot seat. One of our better hot seats right there, Ross. Nailed that.
Thanks.
All right, let's rewind. You're getting started in theater or performing. When does that happen? Are you 4 years old, 14 years old? Last year? When did this happen?
Yeah, I started dancing when I was about 7 because my mum took my sister to dance lessons and I used to go along, and I just was like, I could see myself doing that, and I started joining in, and that was pretty much where it started.
And that was that. Okay.
Yep.
Now, when did you start to take it like seriously in regards to I want to do this for real, like as a profession?
It actually took a while because I kind of danced on and off from when I was 7, but where I'm from, it's not as easy to see it as a career because I'm from a small seaside town in Lowestoft, and there's like not a whole, back then there wasn't a whole lot of information about pursuing it as a career. So I took a gap year when I left high school for a whole year because I had no idea about what it was I was going to do. And then I was really lucky. The city college, which isn't far from where I live, was doing kind of a vocational course, which was kind of like a startup course to prep you auditioning for drama schools in London. So I went along to that, and then I would say that's when I started taking it more kind of like, okay, I can make a living off of this rather than this just being like my Friday night hobby.
Yeah. And how was that, coming from a town you said that it wasn't as common? You had support from friends and family, you were on an island, like how was that?
Yeah, my mum was really good about it. She kind of was like, if you're gonna do this, then you either have to go for it or not at all. Like it has to be all or nothing, because obviously where we're from, like we know how hard it is to get there because it's a big deal from where we are. I make it sound like we live in a shed in the middle of nowhere. We don't, but like
I think we should keep it that way because it makes the story more dramatic.
Yeah, it's much more exciting. No, it's just that I think because before then there was no TikTok or anything like that. So like I was maybe about 15 or so. So like it really was having to trawl through the internet to find out information about these things. And Instagram was only really just becoming a thing then. So it wasn't like a very influencer-led thing. So I think it was a lot more difficult to dig for information about things like this back then.
Yeah, I've talked about this with a few people in the arts, in sports.
Yeah,
I think the internet is going to advance the young people in skill and talent so much sooner than in the past. Because like when I grew up, my access to musical theater was like, speaking of Into the Woods, was Into the Woods on VHS or Jekyll and Hyde on VHS or like, or maybe like on PBS. It's a channel on our television over here. They would play musicals every once in a while. But here now, the kids, it's like, oh, Ross Carpenter from Book of Mormon's going live back in the dressing room, and they're just chit-chatting it up, and everyone across the whole world gets to see it. Or,
exactly.
You know, we're doing rehearsal coverage of whatever, and everyone across the world on YouTube or wherever gets to see it.
Yeah, right.
Leveling the kids up so soon. When you made the move to do this, and your mom said like, "Hey, you got to go all in," what did that mean to her, and what did that mean to you? Like, what was going all in for you?
I think it was about the time that I definitely decided I was going to go to drama school. I'd selected like a small handful of drama schools, and I started auditioning for them, and it was kind of like if I get in, then this is what we're doing, and if I don't, then this clearly isn't meant to be. And another thing, my mum kind of, because my mum like is very like working class background, she was just kind of like, if you want to go, that's great, but we can't afford to pay for this whole thing because like it's expensive. So it was very much like if you get a scholarship, then that's gonna be even better, and it'll be easier for you. And I was very fortunate that I did, so that helped me with going to drama school, and then made everything a lot more gradual and made more sense.
Yeah. All right, so once you got to school and got out, and you're trying to make a career of this, what are some things work ethic wise or habit wise that you formulated in your day-to-day that you would attribute to your success of being consistent in booking these shows?
Sure. I kind of am one of those people that always just likes to be busy and be in work, whether that be in or out of the realm that I trained in. So, I mean, up until the beginning of this year, before I was back in Mormon for a little while, I did some dressing work. I dressed at Back to the Future. I dressed a little bit at Magic Mike, which was an experience.
Wait, I mean, there's no clothes in Magic Mike essentially, so you must not have had a lot to do.
You'd be surprised because there's a lot of stuff they have to take off.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but no, like I kind of like, I guess that pride myself on kind of like, I don't really see myself as being too proud to do things like that, because I think as soon as I left drama school, I got a job working front of house, and then I got a tour, and then when I wasn't touring, I was working in the box office, and then when I got a gig dressing before I started Kinky Boots, I realized actually that there, apart from like doing the lights or the sound, there's not much I haven't done in the theatre in terms of like work wise. Like I've kind of done a bit of everything, and I feel like my kind of like skill set is a lot broader for that.
Sounds like you could be a future like artistic director or producer or direct. Like, do you have that in your?
Yeah, I've always been interested in writing, like I said before, and especially like directing and things like that. I think I would enjoy that. Maybe when my legs have given up. Yeah.
Okay, so how are you keeping your legs going? Like, what do you practice daily to keep yourself feeling good?
I quite enjoy running. I got really into running, especially in lockdown, like a lot of people did, when we were only allowed outside to exercise. So my main source of exercise, I mean, obviously we have the warm up, we have the show, but if I'm not doing that or swimming, it's definitely running. I ended up getting myself like a profile on the NICAP, and I became really competitive with myself. I started doing kind of like the whole like walk to 5K thing, which was fine. And then I upped it to about 10K. And then after doing about 2 weeks of running about 10, 15K, I just didn't stop, and I ended up running a half marathon and actually had the best time. So like that's kind of like my new form of stamina training, as it were.
Yeah.
And cool. It really works with the show.
Yeah, I love that you talked about it being a progression, because so oftentimes people think that they have to start with the half marathon.
Oh God, no.
As opposed to just like
Yeah.
walking the 5K. And when I say that, I'm talking like metaphorically as well, like whether it's thinking you have to be the most in shape person from the gym, or you have to book Broadway or West End right now, or it's you take one step and then you take a second step and the third, and eventually the steps add up to something large. But
yeah, of course.
So oftentimes, most people are thinking, "Oh, I can never run this half marathon." No, you can't. Not right now, because you are where you are. What are some other lessons you've learned? We're talking about a lesson right there. Like, what was maybe a low time? I like to do this with everyone that I speak with. Right now, you're in a show, but in this industry, we know it's not always butterflies and rainbows. We have ups and downs. First off, I freaking love that you said that you were dressing for Back to the Future and Magic Mike. I was talking with someone. Oh, this was back in the pandemic. They're a Broadway choreographer. Their name will come to me eventually, but they said always be willing to sweep the floors. And he basically just meant by that, like when he would hold rehearsals, he'd be the one sweeping the floor before and after their dance rehearsals. And he was the freaking, artist, the choreographer of. He wasn't the assistant to the choreographer. He was the choreographer. And he's just saying like, hey, you're never if you think you're below something, then you got some work to do mentally.
Totally. I think it just gives you a better sense of being humble as well. Like I definitely, over having done things like dressing, have learned way much more about how hard the specific skills you need are for that job than what I would have done if I hadn't done it, and like when I am at work and like being dressed, I still find that weird because I've done that. So like you said about the guy that sweeps the floors, I'm always that person that's conscious of hanging up my stuff or like making sure it's gone in the laundry properly, even though it's not really my job description at the moment, because I just know how annoying it is when you're doing it for other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I also like what you just said. It kind of brought me to like, when you only know what you do, eventually that becomes normal, and that will lead to you maybe taking for granted your place of like being in a special opportunity, which is performing in the West End. But because you have such a vast background and knowledge of everything else that it takes, it kind of gives you that greater understanding of this is a big deal,
Yeah, sure. I definitely like. I know it sounds very like cliche, but like every day I'm very like aware of like my privilege, because I know. I mean, when I'm out of work in January, I'm going to be doing other things, and I'm going to wish I was doing this right now. So like you have to kind of tune into that all the time. Otherwise, you will find yourself regretting that you didn't absorb the time fully, I think.
And thank you for saying something cliche, because cliche statements and ideas are my favorite. There's a reason they're cliche and said over and over and over again. It's because they're some of the most true, plainly simple things in life that we want to roll our eyes at. But when it comes down to it, they're the most important. Another thing you said too earlier, and I didn't get to it, I'm glad that just kind of popped in my head. You said you always like to be working. You always like to be, doing something.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, this business or anything, it's about the work, right? It's
absolutely.
Everyone wants it to be about this magic thing or this secret formula. Or I just say I want to be in the West End and I roll out the carpet and boom, I'm in the West End. When really it's like, oh, you mean I have to do this boring work day in and day out, and that's how this happens?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the hustle. Like you're not gonna meet people sat at home on the couch. Like, you have to get out there and do it. And like, I've made some of my best friends through in between jobs. I've made some of my best friends. I've made some of the most important contacts. Like, some jobs that I've got that have been, corporate or performing jobs through word of mouth, through friends, through other random jobs I never would have thought of doing before. And like you just said, I definitely was one of those people when I was in my last year at drama school in 2014 who felt like you just left drama school and then you became a star if you were lucky, which obviously is great if that does happen, because that does happen to some people. But I think I feel a lot better about myself as a person who is now 30, to look back on like my years of having graduated and looking at all the like different colourful things I've done, because it kind of made, I feel like almost, oh God, it sounds so cringe, but I feel like a better person for being like, oh, like I remember that thing I did there, and like I never would have thought I was going to do that, and I did, and I just feel like I have a better understanding.
Yeah, not cringe at all. Not at all. Be free of that. Be free of the
cringe.
Yeah, be free of that. Be free of the cliche. Embrace it. Embrace it. Yeah. I'm here for it. Okay, so let's get to that. So you're done with drama school in 2014. It's now 2022.
Yeah.
When have there been times where like you're sorry, all is well?
I'm just plugging you in.
Oh, good,
no, you're good. 1 second. I'm just going to plug you in because for some reason my thing is moving. There you go. You're all set.
It's all good.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. That's the times we live in now.
Yeah.
There is no more like polished interviews or like after COVID.
Yeah.
You saw people's animals. You saw people forget that they weren't wearing pants and stood up on national TV.
Yeah.
Like, you plugging in your laptop is the least of any type of complications. But anyways, 2014 to now, what were some times where you're like, did you ever think you were going to stop in the career? Did you ever think like that, that's enough?
I think yes, but I think it's always been a bit more fleeting. And again, like, it's always been moments where I probably have had the most self-doubt about, because again, as you know, work in this industry, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's pretty bad. So like, I think I've had those moments where I felt myself, I guess people lose faith when the work dries up, or maybe the success rate isn't as high as it normally would be. And that's when I've really had to sit down and be like, realistically, what could I do? Or am I done with this yet? And then weirdly enough, it's not happened very many times I've had that conversation with myself, but when I have, something has then just shot out of the ground that has then been like, oh, we're not done yet, because then I end up doing something else.
Yeah.
Which I'm very, very fortunate for. But yeah, I would be lying if I said I hadn't thought about not doing it anymore. But am I grateful that I am still doing it? Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up just because, again, on this journey, like, it's the same with fitness, where you get either burnt out or you get discouraged and you just want to quit and stop. But if you could just hang in there, and maybe you need to make some adjustments, or maybe you need to turn to something different. But regardless, if you can just keep showing up and allowing yourself the opportunity to catch a new wave, if you will, it's inevitable for it to happen.
100%. I think it's really hard to tell yourself when you've been, for example, like stood in the rain in a queue for a call and you're knackered and you've been working 3 jobs. You went to bed at 1 a.m. You got up at 5, like that. And then you got cut in the first round, that it's like to hang in there. But I think it's really important almost to like focus almost on like the work and not the outcome. And then while you're focusing on the work, if something great happens in the meantime, then great. And if not, it's better just to continue to focus on what's making you a better performer as it goes along.
Yeah. All right. We're going to put that on a t-shirt. That was amazing.
There you go.
And that's a great way to conclude this conversation, because if you're listening, this is going to conclude the interview, but I would suggest you rewind about 30, 45 seconds and listen to exactly what Ross just said again, because yeah, it's about the work. And I appreciate all the insight you shared. It was awesome to get to chat, and I can't wait to reconnect when I get back over there in the March-ish time period.
Yes, let's hang out.
Done. You're the pizza place.
Yes, we'll go to the pizza place, 100%.
All right. Enjoy that cake. I'm super jealous. I hope you all have a great show. And thanks, Ross.
See you later.
Bye. All right, everyone. Ross Carpenter. Make sure you follow Ross on Instagram, Ross Carpenter UK. Again, I'm Joe Roscoe from Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform. We obviously are expanding to other parts of the world. We've already done so, but more intentionally with our neighbors across the pond in the UK in the West End. So if you want to check us out at Built for the Stage, builtforthestage.com. Actors or athletes, train like one. Later.